overdraft and put that there, so that's 156,000, and we'll give you you need 215, so you'll just to round it up, you'll need a 70,000 facility. That's likely how they'll do it, but more importantly, what I want, so set it out like that. Well, you'll do that, and I'm more than happy to spend some time with you, going through your cash flow and just seeing how it's laid out to work that through, because you're obviously working out your costs. When you go to the bank, you obviously want a commitment from the bank that they're going to fund the whole thing for the next 5 years. So how you do that, or is it how I would do it, is would go what your ingoing is, and then on completion. So you could do this on your spreadsheet as a separate tab. So ingoing, buy the land, so the land is say $1 million. I'm just using round numbers here. The development, and then you just break that down to say plants, structures, water system or irrigation or whatever, windmill, or if you're going to put that in there. Do you call them windmills for frost protection and that? Yeah. Yeah, windmills. So your plants, that says actual plants are going to be, I don't know, I'm just using numbers here. So break that down. Your structures are 100,000. Your water's 50,000 to put a bore in, and your windmills, we'll just say they're 50,000. Okay, so that there adds up to 220,000. Okay, so that's so total cost there is that, and then you're going to working expenses for the next 4 years is so that's paying the rates and all that is say we'll say that's 80,000. Okay, so that's all added up, and so your total ingoing is 1,300,000. Okay, so lay that like that, and then just say on completion, you're going to have the cash or the capital for the loan for the land, which is $1 million, and therefore to borrow is you need to borrow 300,000, and then add those two up, and that's got to equal that. Does that make sense? So that's just quite a good way to lay it out. That's how the bank would lay it out itself when they write the report. So it's detailed. So it's when you're doing obviously you're working out your capital budget or your capital expenses, is working out what it's all going to cost. But then you've got to factor in the ongoing costs that you're going to have, whether you're making income or not, or the holding costs, so to speak, which will actually include your interest. So that's all these working costs here, and just do them over the total them up for the 4 years. So that's the rates for 4 years, the insurance, your vehicle expenses. It may take into account. Well, you're paying yourself a wage, aren't you? Salary as a manager.
Well, an equivalent manager.
Yeah, yeah. So there's all that to go in there as well. You might make. I don't think you would, but I don't think practically it'd work. But you might be able to graze out your land initially just to get some income in it before you get the plants in or anything like that. So you can take into account all that as well.
Do you know how much if you have a sheep? Do you know how much you can sell a sheep for?
The actual sheep.
Yeah. You work on a margin, say of or lambs of probably lambs is a good one because that happens a lot in vineyards. Is probably a margin of $30 or $40. So you might buy them in the just before or after harvest. You'll say pay $70 for them, and then you'll sell them in spring at about sort of 100 or 110, something like that. So that's your margin. But what you've got to take off there is some losses, some deaths, and you might poke a bit of drench in them as well. But work on a $30 to $40 margin. Yeah. So that's just how you would lay that out, or how I would suggest you lay it out in terms of your study and proposal. Well, work out how much you need, and then put in there the total. You're buying the land, that's what it's going to cost to develop, and on completion you're putting in $1 million, which is the cost of the land. You've got that covered, so you're borrowing $300,000 from the bank. And then you might suggest then how you initially for the bank to give you $100,000 or $200,000 facility, and it would review it each year to see how you're going. If you haven't gone and spent that money on a holiday to Fiji or something like that, they can physically see that you've put the vineyard in, and then they would advance you more as you needed it. So that's how I would suggest that. How I would suggest you set that out. So, is there any other questions? Again, going on the bank websites is quite good. They'll have some stuff there as well. All of them are pretty much the same: ANZ, ASB, BNZ, Westpac. We're right there, so you guys are right.
Cool. Right.
You've stopped that now?